So, extortion is when you cause someone to suffer in an effort to force them to do what you want them to do. Like making a decision for the first time in the 60-year history of SNAP to take away SNAP from 42 million of US citizens because the Democratic Party refused to sign a big, ugly bill that would cut the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, for millions of tax paying citizens while increasing the costs for others and threatening to fire Democratic federal workers. Extortion. That's extortion. Listen, we tried to tell y'all democracy was at stake, but y'all supported getting rid of immigrant criminals, so you voted for a convicted criminal, some of you, to do your dirty work. Some of you voted for a good businessman with six bankruptcies. You wanted to protect the lives of the unborn, so some of you voted for a man who is authorizing the bombing of unsubstantiated accused drug dealers in international waters on ships and literally using the courts to starve babies right now. You voted, some of you voted for a man who said, "Make America great again." That's MAGA. While giving 20 billion taxpayer dollars to Argentina and telling you, us, that maybe he'll give you a portion of the emergency SNAP subsidies because that's all we got. I know. That's no way to start a show. So I'm going to start over. I'm going to woosah, and I'll be right back. Well, hello, and welcome to In Your Ear Radio. I am your host, Latoya. I'm always very happy to be with you, present with you on a beautiful Saturday. Thank you all for joining me on Facebook and YouTube. Your presence is my present. Thank you so much. And I just want to go ahead and give a shout out to my girl who's going to be on the show with us, but she wants y'all to know, let it be known that she beat GB, because y'all know GB is usually first in the chat. And yeah, we're going to have a conversation with her as well. So I'm excited about that. Yep, you beat him. Where you at, GB? Why you let her beat you? That's what's up. Shout out to Gary too, who just hopped in on Facebook. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me so much. I appreciate y'all. So you know how it is. We're gonna get into it. It's gonna be an exciting day. 73 degrees here in Las Vegas, y'all. The weather's lovely. Like you can wear open toes or you can throw on a boot. You don't really have to dress really warm, and you don't necessarily have to not wear much, because we have cooking temperatures here in Las Vegas. Like you go outside and you literally getting cooked. Okay, it's like you're a rotisserie. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so it's a lot going on, y'all. It's a lot going on. We need to woosah, but unfortunately, we can't turn our backs on what's happening in the world. So your girl's gonna get into it before we bring on our very special guest, Shawnta Jackson, who's gonna talk to you. If you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, she's gonna give you some, she's gonna spill the tea on what you can do and how she can help you find your way in just being a better business owner, an entrepreneur. And she has some tools for you. So I'm very excited to have her coming to the show. I was watching was it Instagram Live? If you guys don't follow her, it's Auntie Bev Speaks. And I believe she's an educator. And so her niche is she comes on and she gives you the word of the day. So she gives you a word, she pronounces it, and then she gives you examples of how to use the word in a sentence. And recently she used the word equanimity. And she elaborated on her situation while she had to use equanimity, dealing with calling and speaking, having to push buttons, calling, how you have to talk to an operator, press one, press two, blah, blah, blah. You pressing all the numbers, you know what I'm saying? You get up to a trillion numbers before you actually maybe get to a person. And she talked about the frustrations of that, having something else going on in her life and having to deal with a situation. I think her water was off and she didn't know why, but she had an appointment and she just had to do a woo-saw and in the moment calm herself. And I tell people that I do a lot of that, even more so now that I'm getting at this big age and my hormones be doing their own thing. It's a lot of self-checking that has to go on, because the minute you feel like your temperature's rising or you're getting frustrated, the first thing you need to do is acknowledge that, because once you acknowledge it, then you can actually decide how you're going to, go from there. And I'm thinking, doing that can save lives, keep people from having rage incidents and just all kind of things that could literally and potentially save a life. So she used the word equanimity, EQUANIMITY. And she said that it's the definition of that is finding calm in the midst of a storm. So I just want to encourage us, with everything that we talk about and everything that we're going through, even, if it isn't, dealing with just the United States, just dealing with your own personal life. If you're, trying to launch your business and you're trying to, just get through day-to-day life, maybe you're having issues with your children, your family, whatever the situation is, to find that calm in the midst of a storm, whatever that may be. For some people, is vodka. I'm being facetious. But breathing, just again acknowledging that right now you're feeling away, your temperature is up, and your reactionary, the way that you may react to the certain situation may not be, in character with who you are daily. And once you recognize that, breathe in, breathe out, and recognize this too shall pass, and navigate from a point of understanding that you're just having a moment. It's equanimity. So I like that term, finding the calm in the midst of a storm. I hope that we all can do that and push through, because that's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. I want to give a shout out to a local here, Chef Jeff Henderson, a man who is making a difference in the community, and I appreciate him for it. If you don't know his story, I'll have him on. Eventually, we'll talk, and I'll be very, very excited to interview him, and just introduce him to the audience, those of you who may not know who he is, and just to hear his story and give some encouraging words and give some inspiration to people. But Chef Jeff Henderson did a bid. He years ago, it's been decades now, he went to prison for 10 years, living a fast life. But when he got out, he decided to make a change. And the change was to enroll himself in culinary school. And he ended up being one of the top chefs here on the Las Vegas Strip. And now he's using his expertise to educate other people, mostly the young youth, giving them a culinary skill so that they have something, because we all need a trade. Even if we have our regular working jobs, whatever they may be, it's good to have a side hustle or a trade, something you can do outside of work, your regular work life. But, just to have a trade, and he's training them, educating them, mentoring these young men and women, so that they can come into society with something, productive. And so that's what he used his talent for. And currently, during this climate, with the SNAP benefits on hold in a lot of states, I'm hearing Detroit people are getting their benefits. I don't know if it's state funded under emergency funds or if the federal funds are just seeping through. It's just so much confusion going on. I don't know. But in the midst of all of this, I love people who are being proactive, trying to get ahead of people being hungry and starving, and just doing what they can. And in this case, he's doing that by feeding people who are in need. So he has pop-up shops all over the Las Vegas city. And, shout out to him for being available. And if you see that food, if you go to his website on Instagram, Chef Jeff, you can look, that food this ain't no canned goods. Okay. This is like I said, he's a chef. So the food looks really, really good and tasty. You can go to Chef Jeff Project to learn more. If you want to donate, if you want to participate, or if you need food, you need something to eat, to find out where they'll be next. I just want to give my props to him, because in these times, self-sufficiency does starve the system. You think about the Montgomery bus boycotts, where we stopped getting on those buses, we stopped paying because the majority of us as Black people contributed to the funding of these buses in Montgomery. And when we stopped getting on there, they were losing money. So it starved the system. So they had to buckle up. If they still wanted to make money, this is a capitalistic society we live here in the United States. If they still wanted to make money, they had to come to the table and compromise. And that's what we're struggling through right now with this shutdown. You have one party that's saying, no, we're not going to, we want the Affordable Care Act extended. We want people to be able to afford health care. We do not want their health care expenses tripling, which has happened since November 1st, because that whole point was to prevent this from happening by getting an extension on the Affordable Care Act. And the Republican side said hell to the no, no, no. And so the Democrats grew some and said, well, then nah, we ain't going to be able to do it. And unfortunately, a lot of people are out of work right now. They're being furloughed. They're not getting a check for a month right now. Some people are fired. They don't have a job. Some people are not able to eat. And now they don't even have access to subsidies that they paid into by way of tax dollars. So it's a lot going on. So equanimity. Happy birthday to anyone celebrating a birthday today, this month. Scorpios, some of my faves, Y'all up there with the Aries, so I appreciate y'all for being born. Thank you to your mother and father for having one good night. One good night. Okay. I thought this was interesting. I'm kind of biased when I talk about hip hop because it's not what it used to be. And I know a lot of people will say, as you get older, you become what you considered your parents to be, old heads. They judge the music that you listen to. I'm sure our parents felt a way about our music, especially hip hop, because me coming up, it was some great original music, but it kind of transitioned late 80s into the 90s where there was a lot of sampling going on. Shout out to people like P. Diddy and other artists who brought in songs from our parents' era, the 70s and 80s, and used that on hip hop tracks. And so it was a lot of wagging the finger from our parents saying, oh, that's a remake, da, da, da. And then it just got really out of control with just the conversations that they were having. And then now you listen to it, the women are, it's everything just over the top for me. It's just over the top. I don't hear much inspiration in the music. There are some, Kendrick Lamar, there are some artists, Rhapsody, just off the top of my head. But overall, the ones that are trending, the ones that are popular, the ones who are getting the most buzz, ain't talking about nothing. And that's my opinion, and I have my opinion. I'm entitled to it. We still have free speech. The First Amendment still exists here in the United States of America, okay? Regardless of what they say. But yeah, so right now, according to the Billboard, the top 40 Billboard, there are no rap songs on the top 100. There are no rap songs. So, you have all kind of artists who hit that top 100 chart. But no. So you remember Luther? I mean, that was a popular one. I love Luther. That was with SZA, right? That fell off the Hot 100 dated back in October 25th of this year. So since that fell off, I'm thinking the top 40. I'm sorry, I'm saying top 100, but I mean top 40. So that fell off. So now there's no rap songs on the top 40 list on the Billboard. So, it's been devoid of rap songs for the first time in 35 years. And I think it's a big deal because rap has been so influential in our culture. We cannot deny that. It's just been a big deal. But to me, it says something about the times. It says, maybe people just, just like what a lot of things is going on in the world, we sick of this garbage. You know what I'm saying? We need something substantial. We need something fortifying, right? So yeah, for the first time in 35 years, this is a significant change that occurred due to the methodology rules that deem songs as recurrent if they fell below certain chart thresholds after spending extended periods. So the highest ranked rap song at the time that this was stated was Young Boy Never Broke Again. Y'all, I couldn't tell you. If you hummed it, I wouldn't be. If you put a gun up to my head, I wouldn't be able to tell you what song it is. I'm sorry. But it's Young Boy Never Broke Again. I'm sure many of you know, or you can put a thumbs up in the chat if you know who I'm talking about. Shot Calling, okay? And that reached number 44. And yeah, the absence of rap songs in the top 40 is a reflection of a broader trend, which hip hop's overall market share declining from nearly 30% in 2020 to 24% in 2025. And I imagine it's going to keep falling at the bottom because, yeah, this is crazy. So the shift highlights a recent downturn in rap's commercial dominance in the music industry. Basically what I just said. And what do y'all think about that? But the crazy thing though, because there is like a hierarchy system, you get bumped, right? So maybe they're not getting on thanks to the 12 songs from Taylor Swift's new album, which is The Life of a Showgirl. And it has been lodged in the top 40 for the past 3 weeks, further limiting the access to rap hits in the region. I still stand on rapping. Yeah, y'all got to come better. Y'all got to come better. Y'all got to represent. That's all I'm saying. Y'all got to do better. And then I think y'all get back up there because Kendrick Lamar, he's doing his thing, and he got on it for a minute, right? But the lack of rap songs in the hot 100's top 40 is the latest sign of recent dip in the rap's commercial dominance. Again, the I talked about the market, I talked about the percentages, how it's dropped, and it's worth noting that the rap world is currently in a bit of an in between moment with some of its biggest names. Drake. This is what I'm talking about, right? The biggest names, Drake. Okay, it's all in the same sentence. Okay, um, his chart mainstay of the past 15 years. He had a good run. He was the artist with the most hot 100 hits of all time. Wow, Drake. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna hate. Drake. They didn't put some salt on his name, but I wasn't looking at Drake in the eyes that other people saw him. I just thought it was girl music, and I'm not familiar with all that thug stuff he was doing. I didn't even know he was a thug or an aspiring thug. But anyway, so Drake. I'm just saying. So yeah, but crazy enough, he has not released his much anticipated album Iceman, which supposed to come out in 2024. So I guess Kendrick Lamar helped to shut that down. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting that no rap is on the Billboard top 40 right now. I don't know. I think that's wild. Okay, so rest in peace to Heavy D, who passed away on this day. I just wanted to pay my respects to him. Yeah, that I mentioned him so much to say that he had a heart disease, but initially he had a blood clot, and he had also traveled during this time. So he had just returned from the UK, and shortly thereafter he passed away. So they associated upon an autopsy his death from a blood clot. And I bring all of that up to say that if you're traveling abroad, if you're going to be on a flight for long hours, take aspirin. That helps to thin the blood, right? And so that way, you have maybe a better chance of not experiencing a blood clot. Maybe you have pre-existing conditions or not. I just say overall, I don't see anything wrong with doing that, just to be on the safe side. But speaking of flights, as y'all probably heard, y'all's president has cut back on flights. He ordered a reduction of flights. The Federal Aviation Administration has an unprecedented order to scale back flights nationwide because of the record long government shutdown. It took effect Friday morning. While the FAA order left some passengers scrambling to figure out backup plans, most were relieved to find their planes still were on schedule as airlines slowly phase into reductions at the nation's busiest airports. I like to just take note, and you guys can Google and do the knowledge, because we're going to get into, a conversation with our special guest. So I'm not going to go into all the details, but I just wanted to be noted that the majority of these cutbacks are in blue-led cities and states. So there's blue governors, Republican governors, Democratic governors and Democratic mayors in these states that are getting the majority of these cutbacks. And again, these are in major cities. So the 40 airports selected for the slowdown span more than, again, 24 states. And at least 1,000 flights were called off on Friday to comply with the FAA orders to reduce service. The FAA says the reductions impacting all commercial airlines are starting at a 4% of flights, and at the busiest airports will ramp up to 10% a week from Friday. Y'all, the holidays coming. I don't know. Y'all better start renting cars or driving your vehicles. This is going to be too stressful. Equanimity though. Equanimity at the airport too. Equanimity. The FAA says that the cuts are necessary to relieve pressure on air traffic controllers who are working without pay for more than a month. Many are pulling 6-day work weeks with mandatory overtime, and increasing numbers of them have begun calling out as a financial strain and exhaustion. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But it is recommended to help not have this pressure of not having your flight canceled is to buy a backup flight. Yes, somebody recommended publicly to buy a backup flight. Yes, they are not reading the room. They do not know their audience, do they? Who does that? Flights are already expensive, but who got backup money? Okay. What's going on right here? You need to learn to read the room, you rich people. Know your audience. I learned that in Toastmasters. You got to know your audience. You got to know your audience, okay? And what does 6'7" mean? I don't know. This is random. But what does 6'7" mean? You got these kids running around here talking about 6'7". If you guys do not know, the dictionary has made this the word. This is the word of the year. 6'7". It's not even a word, it's a number. Okay, whatever. But this is what's going on right now. And I just need y'all to know. It's a lot of crazy shenanigans going on. And this is brought to us by our kids. Okay. So there's the online dictionary announced on October 29th that the word of the year is 6'7". Okay. It is a slang phrase popularly used by the Gen Alpha. So what is that? I don't even know what age group that is. But anyways, while some interpret it as a phrase to mean so-so or maybe this, maybe that, it's also used as an exclamation according to dictionary.com news release. And someone said that it's part of an inside joke, part of a social signal and performance. Stephen Johnson, director of lexicography for the Dictionary Media Group, he said that when people say it, they're not just repeating a meme, they're shouting a feeling. So when you say 6'7", your hands go up and they stay there, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting. I mean, it's gone so far that even on South Park, the season 28 premiere, they put this in their skit. You know, so if y'all got kids, ask them what 6'7" is, and they're gonna make you feel real dumb. They're gonna be like, you don't know? They don't know. Trust me, they don't know. I mean, we had our thing too, right? Some of us say 50, 11 times, you know, because the Yin Yang twins did that, but it makes sense. When we say 50, 11 times, we're just saying in an abundance, right? Like 6'7", what does that mean? What are we relating that to? What are we associating that with? I just think that's just really, really weird. And even the Yin Yang twins got shunned for their just randomness, right? You remember on the BET Awards when they was in the audience, I'm like, and Monique was like, ladies, take your birth control. You know what I'm saying? So you can't just be saying random stuff and not making sense. And yeah, so 6'7", albeit aura farming, which is a term that means the act of constantly trying to look cool, confident, and unbothered to build an aura. Agentic was one of the big ones too. And I think this is interesting. I want to get into this more on another show. Agentic is a digital technology like artificial intelligence capable of acting independently to accomplish a goal or task, acting like a human agent. And that's according to dictionary.com. I definitely want to get into that. So some other words that 6'7" LB was over tourism, tariff, and trade wife. That is a married woman who chooses to be a homemaker as a primary occupation and adheres to the traditional femininity and female gender roles often associated with conservative and trade wife. Why is trade in it? What the hell? I don't know. But I also want to remind you guys not to believe anything that Marjorie Taylor Greene says. If you don't know who she is the she holds a congressional seat in the 14th District of Georgia. She has become popular by way of Jasmine Crockett calling her the bleach blonde, bad built butch body because she wild with it. She's a conspiracy theorist, but she went on The View looking all calm and demure and all of these things. And not sounding like her regular self, but she did reiterate that she has not changed because people were on the panel clutching their pearls like, you've changed. You're so polite. You're so, in tune with things. She says she's against war. She says she's against what the Republicans are doing. She says the Democrats are failing too. She's saying all the right things, y'all, but I just do not want you guys to fall for the okie doke. This is election season. We have our midterms coming up, and that's what they got to do. A leopard doesn't change their stripes. They just put a coat over it so you can't see, okay? She got a coat on, and don't fall for the okie doke. Do not fall for Marjorie Taylor Greene shenanigans, MGT, because she is on one. All right. Okay. Much more to talk about. Maybe we'll get into it after this interview, but I definitely want to bring my girl on because I wanted to talk about it, get more into SNAP. Monkeys on the loose. Black woman took one out. Measles outbreak. We got our first outbreak here in Nevada. You know what I'm saying? And it was a baby. It was a baby who was not eligible for a vaccine. And so they're saying people who were in that location where this baby was in the hospital locally here. What hospital was this? This St. Rose Dominican Hospital's Siena campus in the pediatric emergency department. If you were there between 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on October 31st or from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. November 1st, the health district said the Center of Disease Control and Prevention has reported. The health department says that you may have been exposed to measles, but the Center of Disease Control and Prevention has reported over 1,600 measles cases nationwide this year. So measles is back, baby. Measles is back. Oh, it's so much. The elections, so much, so much, so much, so much I want to get into. Shout out to all of those people who came out and voted in New York City, New Jersey, Cincinnati, and Virginia. Y'all turned up. Y'all let it be known that y'all are not with these shenanigans. And that's what it takes. Voting matters. Don't forget that. Don't let nobody convince you otherwise. That is the least you can do. And it makes a big difference. We have our first Detroit Black woman mayor, and her name is Mary Sheffield. So she and her resume is proper, okay? And she, first Black woman, because we did have a Black man in Detroit, Coleman Alexander Young. He was the first Black mayor. He served between 1974 and 1994. Y'all, he was born in 1918. I just think that's so interesting. But anyway, so we got our first Black woman in Detroit, thanks to the voters. We have Virginia. All three branches of government are run by Democratic leadership. That's dope. And Abigail Stanberg is the first woman governor elect in Virginia. Shout out to Virginia. Yeah, we're doing it. And I just want to say this, and then we're going to move on, how serious voter suppression is, right? I was listening to one of my favorite shows, Karen Hunter. I consider her one of my heroes, but she went on her live on the day of, they have early voting where she is, and that's in New Jersey, but she likes to go on the day of voting and the actual day. And so she went to her regular precinct, and she was advised that there was a bombing. There was a bomb threat. I'm sorry. And so she was turned away. They told her to go to another location. She said it was across town. There was a lot of American flags around. She didn't feel comfortable. She didn't know if these people would count her vote. She didn't really feel comfortable about it. When she got there, she couldn't go to her regular location because, again, there was a bomb threat. Remember, these are Republicans threatening people. People think voting doesn't count and voting doesn't matter, but people threaten people with bombs about voting, okay? So she was told to go to the other side of town. She did. They told her she could put in a provisional ballot. For those who may not know, a provisional ballot is counted later. So basically, you fill it out, and it'll be counted when it's counted, and that's that. You just hope and pray that it's done. But the point that I'm making is she had the time to go back to her precinct, and by that time, they had cleared the bomb threat. A lot of people are going to work, dropping their kids off, and went to that precinct where there was a bomb threat, and now they can't vote because they ain't got time. This is the last day of voting, and now that is what voter suppression is all about, discouraging you, making it difficult for you to vote, because if you don't vote, as Republicans say, they don't want the majority of people to vote, because when the majority of people vote, Republicans lose, okay? Whatever your interests are, if your interests aren't leaning towards the Republican Party, then you understand why they don't want you to be a part of this whole electoral system. And so I'm just saying that. So these different voter suppression tactics that are taking effect are done by the opposing party, which happens to be the Republican Party for the most part, you know what I'm saying? And it's just giving you an idea of how they suppress your vote. So even for those who go out and decide to vote, they're being suppressed and discouraged from voting because they're making it inconvenient. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. But now that I've said all that, in a half hour, it's time to get it popping, baby, because I got my girl about to join me, and I'm so very excited. This is the first time I get to interview her, so I'm excited about it, and so we'll see how this rolls. But let me just bring her on. I'm gonna tell you a little something about her too, but I want to bring her on so y'all can see her lovely face. Shawnta Jackson.
Hey.
Hold on. I gotta give you applause. Hello. So for those of you who may not know who have been living up under a rock, let me just give you a little something, give you a little information about my girl. Shawnta Jackson is that person who leaves a lasting impression. She motivates, challenges, and provides thought-provoking dialogue. She's a leader, mother, author, talk show host, and a social entrepreneur with a vision to help people to help themselves. In addition to inspiring people and providing helpful insight into the life and business based on her lived experience, Shawnta is defying all limitations by succeeding as a single mother and a small business owner who has, for the past 16 years, been relied upon by organizations and teams across the United States to help implement and evaluate socially conscious initiatives. She also serves as a facilitator and a guest speaker for various audiences. Shawnta is the founder and chief executive associate of Cause Engagement Associates LLC. It's a national firm that provides consultation and professional services in the areas of strategy, engagement, evaluation, and promotion of socially conscious initiatives. She holds a Master of Public Health degree in social and behavioral health from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and a Bachelor of Arts degree in public relations from Columbia College, Chicago. Shawnta is originally from Las Vegas and resides in Washington, Baltimore. You still in Washington, Baltimore?
The Washington, Baltimore area.
Metropolitan area with her son Zachary. Woo! Thank you for joining me. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Thank you for having me. I had to get a little cute from Miss Latoya. I had to put on my red lipstick so I can match your vibe, so I can be like you. That's my goal. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Oh, look, we're trying to be like each other because you inspire me. So I'm gonna just go ahead and give you a flower before we get started. I did have a bun up, but somehow it fell down because I didn't pin it. So we would have been twin. We would have been twinning.
Yeah, I thought we were.
Yeah, you put it in work. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay. So, but yeah, I want to just give you your flowers because if you guys don't know, full disclosure, this is my cousin. Our parents are siblings, but she's also my friend. She's my confidant and my therapist sometimes. She walks me off the ledge sometimes, you guys, and I'm just so grateful for her. For those who may not know her, she loves to be of service to people. She's passionate about that. We all have our gifts and our talents and our love languages, and I think her love language is really helping others, as she's quoted as saying her purpose in life is to help others help themselves, right? Did I say it correctly?
To help people to help themselves and others, yeah.
And others, yeah. And I just want to thank you for being an inspiration and keeping me motivated because we have conversations about business and just what direction I want to take. And you're a good listener, and you offer suggestions, and I take them to heart, and you keep me encouraged and inspired. So thank you for being you, Shawnta Jackson.
Thank you for allowing me to be me.
Appreciate it. Sherry says hi. I'm on Facebook. Yeah, so much to get into. Shout out to Maryland. Aren't you proud of Maryland right now?
I'm always proud of Maryland. I'm very happy to be in this state. Maryland has been good to me. I love Nevada. That's hometown. But just me growing as a person, as a woman, as a professional, as a business owner, this state has been really good to me. So I'm very proud of our governor, the residents. It's just good people here overall.
Yeah, good people. How's the culture in comparison to Las Vegas?
As it relates to the diaspora, so I like to I'll talk about that. So as it relates to the African diaspora, it's a little bit of everybody. You have people native from Baltimore. So from Baltimore, you got people from DC.
You said it right, Baltimore. You know how to say it.
Right. You got people. You got a lot of people from North Carolina, New York, and then you have people from the islands. You have people from West Africa, East Africa.
Wow.
South America, Central America. It's a lot of, as far as the diaspora goes. So it's a little bit of everybody. As it relates to culture, there's always something to do. We have there's a lot of history because Maryland is one of the original 13 colonies. Yeah. So just a lot of just U.S. history in general, in addition to Black history. So, for example, the Underground Railroad, where Harriet Tubman on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. Yeah, so there's a lot of historic sites. Frederick Douglass and Baltimore, just a lot of history in Baltimore with the ports. And so as far as the culture, there's a lot of pride and there's a lot of resiliency. So resiliency is your ability to go through something and bounce back, right? A lot of a culture of education, success. You have independence. You have, like I said, culture, art, museums. You have food. You have all types of businesses as it relates to, like, for example, for Black owned businesses, I could 100% choose to patronize Black owned businesses. Like my dollar can recycle multiple times here. So
Wow.
I do appreciate that. So that goes from not just retail or food service, but also even some of your food, like your grocery stores, your accountants, your CPAs, your restaurants, your bookstore, just kind of like everything, your cafe, if you want to go get a fresh juice, a smoothie, your therapist, whatever it is that you're looking for. There's definitely a lot of Black professionals here. So it's been good to my son. Like I said, it's a little bit of everything. We got thug life. We have elitists, if that's your thing. We have people who are naturalists. You have farmers, a lot of Black farmers, urban farmers as well. You got hip hop. You got jazz clubs. You have Black run comedy clubs. There's a lot. There's always something to do here. So I definitely encourage folks to come visit. And if you know me or if you're family friends, you can definitely come and we can hang out. We're in close proximity to, I can hop on the train. I'm in close it takes me about, from where I live in the suburbs, it takes me 27 minutes to get to DC on the train. I'm about 20 minutes south of Baltimore. About 2 hours from Philly. I can hop on the train in 3.5 hours from New York. Or I can drive to New York if I want to just go to a play for a day, or if I want to go to Madison Square Garden for a boxing match or to a Nas concert or something like that.
Why you got to say that? That's what's up. You see, a lot of people use the train a lot to get around, other cities, right?
Yeah, like some people, like if I wanted to have clients or I can do business in New York, like I said, I can go to New York for the day. I can meet clients or meet colleagues or partners in DC for the day. I can go to Baltimore. I could easily fly. I'm really quick to Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, North Carolina. It's really easy. It's like a really good central location for me to do business. So it's kind of like endless opportunities. And I'm taking, as I'm speaking out loud, it's like note to self, Shawnta, note to self.
Yeah. So you're not going back to Vegas.
I'm always in Vegas. I think I've been in 2025. I think I've been there at least 6 times so far this year. And I'll be back on next week, next Sunday, Sunday, November 16th for the Entreprenuer Reset.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into that. I know you're going to be joining us with your partner. His name is Walter Williams, LPC. I wanted to get into these initials too. Forgive me, but this is just for my audience. I know behind your name, you got a letter. I always tell people, I joke, I say there's no letters behind my name, but yours there is. It's MPH. What does that stand for?
So master's in public. I have a master's degree in public health. So Master of Public Health. Yeah. So that's what it stands for. So my colleagues kind of recognize it. So my background, and as it relates to public health, is social and behavioral health. And so that's where so in public health, we have what we call the social determinants of health. So you have like health topics, but then like where you live, where you work, your access to care, like all of the things that you talk about on your show, education, health, quality of care, whether or not someone is gainfully employed, underemployed, not employed, if their access to education, like all of those different things impact your quality of life. And in public health, we call that the social determinants of health. So I use that, those letters behind my names, just so that my peers or clients, just for recognition in that space. But again, my concentration. So in public health, you have environmental health. So everything is public health, by the way. Your traffic light, your urban design, your waste management, and just regulation as it relates to emissions and air quality, the Environmental Protection Agency, not just vaccines or not just your physical health, but also your built environment as well. Safety, lead regulation, asbestos, and why we can't do this and how things used to be built like that. Like all of that is public health. But then there's also surveillance, like you mentioned, the measles. There's so that's a public health topic, but how do we know, how do you know? So that time frame that they said from the hospital, people were if you were here at this particular time frame, and the reason that they said that time frame is because there's this thing, this discipline in public health called epidemiology. And
Yes.
epidemiology is like the study of disease, the vector, the signs, the symptoms. That's how they kind of like track COVID, like they kind of know things were going on. And so with the measles, for example, someone can cough and so the measles can actually linger in the air for about 2 hours. That's why they set that time frame, just so you know. So
Yeah.
all of these, so it's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. But my concentration for my master in public health, my MPH, is social behavioral health. And so that's more like change behavior. That's more of your health prevention, your health education, your awareness, your program planning, your community engagement, your stakeholder engagement, trying to make people you raise awareness, but help people to make better informed decisions for their health and for their community. But we don't focus on an individual level. It's more so on a community level or a population health level versus individual. That's what healthcare is. Healthcare focuses on the individual.
So it sounds like it's a proactive approach to health prevention. It sounds like on
It's
your
all of the above. And so it's it's both proactive and it's reactive and it's preparedness. And so even just your emergency preparedness, if there were to be any type of emergency, whether it's a natural disaster, whether it's some type of terrorist attack, trust me, your local public health department, there is an emergency preparedness plan in the event that something happens. And so when and everyone has a role, whether it's a school, it's a library, your governor, your mayor. But yeah, so all of that is public health. So I say that to say, as you mentioned about voting and us kind of paying attention to things and funding,
yeah.
I think it's important for us to support public health too. And when we are asking questions of our elected officials, whether they're at the local level, state level, or at the federal level, we should definitely be advocating for investment in public health.
Whew, yeah, we can advocate, but we in some muddy waters right now. How is that looking? Have you been following that as far as has that been shut down? Have they shut down the research in public health? Because it's tied into the CDC,
Yeah,
right?
that was one of the first. Yes. So yeah. So the National Institutes of Health, NIH,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Department of Health and Human Services, CDC, your Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Office of Minority Health. We don't have that anymore. The Office of, you have women's health, you have maternal health, you have men's health, you have Black men's health. You have there, so unfortunately, public health is under attack. But public health is, I've mentioned earlier, about resiliency and your ability to kind of fight and bounce back. So public health professionals, we are definitely, we're still here, we're still advocating, and we still believe in equity. And what I'm most proud of, the state of Maryland here, our public health department, you know how some people have folded to white supremacy and just voluntarily from the very beginning, some states have.
yeah.
Our state and our state public health department, they still are on mission, and they still are on track and working to achieve health equity.
That's what's up, Virginia. I love that about Virginia, and I want to tie that into the conversation we'll get into about the workshop that you'll be having next weekend. When you talked about being proactive, reactive, and preparedness, I think that definitely ties in to your work ethic when it comes to helping others too. So I definitely want to remember those three and talk more about that as we talk about how you can help others, especially within the workshop. But I want to kind of rewind the tape a little bit because I just want to know what made you even get involved in this. I wouldn't have ever thought to get into public health. What inspired you to even go to school to learn more and get a degree?
Okay. So your girl is an entrepreneur. Yeah. So yeah. So just at heart. So I have my undergraduate degree in public relations. So I left I left Las Vegas and went to college undergraduate in Chicago. I got my degree in public relations. I worked as an assistant account executive. I got married when I was in college. I graduated. And then from there, I didn't really work for a while, and I pursued real estate. So I got my real estate license in Illinois, never had the chance to practice, left, went to Las Vegas. And so when I'm back in Las Vegas, I got my real estate license. So I'm actually acting as a real estate agent and a loan officer. But
Okay.
then the recession started. So this is about 2006-ish, 2006. And so 2008 was the recession. And
Yeah.
so I started to see a change in the availability of loan products and my ability to like help people to refi or buy, because they stopped the stated income and stated verified income, which a lot of people in Vegas are tip earners. And so that's how they verify their income. So the bank stopped accepting that. So I kind of saw the trend
Mhm.
kind of early on. Then I said, you know what, I want to start another company. And I started this company called Royal Concierge Group. I was really good at starting businesses.
Okay.
And then when I was married to an entrepreneur as well. And so I was really good at kind of like starting businesses. That didn't go anywhere, but I used to travel a lot. And I wanted to leave Las Vegas. I always wanted to go back to the East Coast. And I went everywhere. I went to New York. I went to Houston. I went to Atlanta. I tried to go back to Chicago. I applied for Teach for America, and I went to my second interview in LA. I didn't make it. The yuppies said I was. They decided I wasn't good enough to teach the urban youth.
Their loss.
I went, and some things are just not meant for you.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find a livable wage. I could not find a livable wage. But again, that entrepreneur vibe, that's burning in my blood. I was traveling. When I traveled, I always read The Economist magazine. And I decided that I wanted to go back to school to get my master's degree. And at the time, I was thinking law, or maybe my MBA, so in business, or maybe public administration.
Okay.
So I'm reading the back of the Economist magazine, because my customers,
Research it.
no, because my customers read the Economist magazine. And at the
Okay.
time, the Economist had classified ads. And one day I was going to advertise in the Economist magazine. So I need to read what my clients read.
That's right.
So I'm reading the classifieds, and I saw a job. They also had job descriptions. And then the classifieds, they also had like the various MBA business programs for whether you were going for a degree or a certificate.
Yeah.
So that I would read that. And I read this job description for the World Health Organization. And so again, remember, I want to go back to school so that I can serve my clients, who are going to be these C-suite clients, these executives. I want to work with business owners, and I want to help them to develop presentations. I want to travel to conferences around the world and represent them, travel on their behalf, help them to negotiate and to build and grow their businesses. That was my vision for myself. And I saw this job description for the World Health Organization. And that's how I discovered public health, when I read that job description.
Wow.
And I said, that's what I'm going to do. I said, that's with this, whatever this is, that's what I want to do. And so I ended up getting my master's in public health at UNLV. I excelled in everything that I did. I was when I was in school, I had a GA-ship, an internship, 2 internships, and a part-time job, all in grad school. And I graduated within 12 months of graduate school. I even bought a home because I couldn't afford to rent. So I bought my home in Vegas while I was in grad school, because the recession had already happened, and I bought a bank-owned property. So I was able to get it was easier for me to come up with a down payment for an FHA loan versus me coming up with the first and last month and a deposit and the monthly rent. It was cheaper to buy.
Yes.
Yeah. And so to answer your question, that's how I discovered public health. But I excelled in everything that I did. Okay. When I finished grad school, I found a job. I got a job at the local health department, excelled, kind of outgrew that,
right,
and started looking for opportunities. New York was on my mind, and I thought I was going to be in DC, but I ended up in College Park, Maryland at that time. So
wow, that's an amazing story. And considering you did all that with a young child, I want to say a toddler in between time. He was a baby.
Yeah. So grad school, he was so all of that. Yeah. So he was starting at age 1, the entrepreneurial journey, and I would just bring him with me. Then I socialized him a little bit, put him in daycare for a little bit. Then when he was old enough to go to preschool for a couple of hours out the week. And then grad school, he was in kindergarten. And kindergarten, that was my babysitter.
Yeah,
And so
that's
I was
okay.
able to, yeah, that's how I was able to do that.
That's so dope. Shout out, and I just want to reiterate, because I say that to people all the time, that having a mortgage is cheaper than renting, especially in these times. I mean, the interest rates don't help, but it's definitely something to consider. Just getting your credit up and saving some money, and being a homeowner versus playing with these people with these rent costs. And like you said, first and last month rent and all that goes with it. So thank you for just dropping those nuggets and letting people know there is a way to maintain without, you know, falling in the gaps, because it can happen. It can really, really happen. And wow, just reading this magazine, what is it called again?
The
uh,
Economist.
the economy. You went to the classifieds,
Mhm.
and that's how you found an interest in the position. But you moved along from there. I mean, now you're a two-time author. You have two books. One is The Resilience of a Woman, and then you also have The Journal of a Woman with Lived Experiences. Very personal, to your life experiences, definitely. And you know, inspiring to me. I'm a little shy. I couldn't do what you did. I don't think yet. I'm not in that position. If I feel like I have a book in me. I love writing in my mind. I'm a journalist. I'm an author. It's something that I'm supposed to do at some point in life. Um, but I think it'll be more fiction than truth telling, with my storytelling. But what prompted you to get into a book, writing a book?
Oh, so I always journaled, and I would throw my journals away because of shame, guilt, embarrassment. Never wanted anyone to see them. When I say throw away, I'm talking about making sure the FBI couldn't even tape it back if they found all the pieces. Make sure you shred and
Put
burn
a lighter to it.
and don't even put all the pages in the same trash can. Yeah, so I was one day sharing a journal entry with a friend, and he said, "You know what?" And I was telling him. So I started this journal. Let me backtrack. I started this journal, and I said, "You know what? I'm going to write this journal for my son."
Okay.
And I want him, and then not just for him, but also my grandchildren, I might have a great grandniece one time that, so she can say,
Down the line.
one in our family named Shawnta Jackson, and this is who she was. Because you have your obituary, and people write your obituary, but I want you to know about me from my thoughts. But then as I started writing, and I'm looking at the trends in the journal, I'm kind of going back at some journal entries, I got embarrassed again. And then I was talking about like love and relationships, stuff I didn't want people to know about. And I was telling my friend that I think I'm going to throw this one away too. And he was like, "No, you probably really can help somebody one day."
A male friend, you confided in a male friend.
Yes, yes. And he was like, "You probably can help someone one day. You should keep it." And
Yeah.
then that's when I got the aha epiphany. You know what? F it. I'm gonna write a book. But I always wanted to write a book. But my book, I was going to be a professional, and I was going to be a subject matter expert, and then I was going to use that book to go on stage, get speaking engagements, and like
Yeah.
the books that I like, the business books that I read now. I was going to be like those people. I never thought I was going to do it about me. But I self-published. I figured out, like, literally, if someone hired a publisher or worked with a publisher, like I literally did everything independently. And my inspiration was Master P and E40. Um, yeah. So I did my own, my self-publishing, my own distribution. Even now, you can go to my website, shawntajackson.com, and you can learn more about the books, and you can order copies. And so I was like, the money that it comes, that you invest, professional photography, a professional editor. And so remember, so these are actual real books. These are not AI generated.
Right.
We didn't have the learning
Yeah.
models, like your chat GPTs or anything like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so they're my real life journal entries. Never intended for the public to read them. So that's the story behind that, like how that came about with those two books. I wanted to write more and more and more. But there's the thing about me and the fun thing about being an entrepreneur is like, I have the right to change my mind.
Exactly.
I don't beg, I don't borrow, I don't steal. I'm not putting myself in harm. I'm not harming anyone else. Um, and it's my prerogative, and I want to try different things, and I don't really have to stick to one thing. And so that was something that I did. I'm open to writing more books, but and now I'm in a different space, and the space where, in addition to my core business, Cause Engagement Associates, the consulting firm that I have, and we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year in 2025. So in addition to that, the me helping people to help themselves and others has kind of like gravitated towards entrepreneurs, small business owners, and aspiring entrepreneurs. So that's where we're at today.
That's dope. And shout out to the chat. Tasha Jackson's in the chat. She says, "Hey, look, GB. We already said you didn't win this time. You wasn't the first in the chat." But he says, "What's up, family?" He's on a late bus. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, GB. Hey, Vegas Gates, Sherry
Okay.
Adams, Tasha, LaShawn.
Yeah. LaShawn says you're truly an
Thank
inspirational
you.
woman. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And I agree. I agree. So yeah, this speaking of inspiration, just thinking about you wanting to help other people. I want to encourage you guys too to go to her website, ShawntaJackson.com, if you want to learn more about her, because her story is quite intriguing. I want to get into it too much or give too much away, but it's not always, people don't, you look at people on the outside and you think, oh, they got it together because they look a certain way, that life has dealt them a good hand, but you never know what people go through to get to where they're at. So picking up these books, the Journal of a Woman with Lived Experience, it's a 21, what is it, 21 of her real life personal journey entries, which she served, as moments of reflection. And then you can go in, it's like a workbook too. You can write and you can reflect as well. I encourage you guys to go to her website and pick it up, and the resilience of a woman. So you can understand. So, a lot of times we look at people and we go, oh, they got it together. Oh, they're so smart. They just set in the third. Yeah, they're all of that, but they've gone through things to come to where they're at. And I just want to, applaud that and just encourage not just women, but men to know that no matter where you're at in life right now, it gets better. It can get better. And you just have to, surround yourself with the right people. You have to just keep a positive state of mind and just know today is one day and tomorrow is a new day. So ShawntaJackson.com, you can go and learn more about her, purchase the books. And even you can even bring her as a motivational speaker as well. You can bring her on to workshops, things that she's already doing. She's welcoming you to invite her into your space as well. So that's what's up. That's what's up. But I want to get into this promotion you have now. The look, I got the flyer. So this is the Entrepreneur Reset. It's a one-day experience, a step away from the daily grind to reflect and reset. And I have had some questions about this. People just trying to understand exactly what it is, and what to expect. So I just wanted you to be able to take some time to be able to explain to people what it is and what to expect.
Okay, so just a little background. I have an accountability partner. We meet every Friday. So we just finished our 19th book for the year. And the book that we just finished, by the way, is Who Not How. It's an audio version. Pretty good read. It's about delegating, but also that reciprocity. Sometimes we focus on how we're going to get this done, but you should really be focusing on like who can help me to achieve these goals, right? So my accountability partner on our Friday accountability call, we're approaching towards the end of the year. His name is Walter Williams. He's a licensed professional counselor. That's where the LPC comes from. So he's a licensed professional counselor. He has a private practice, and his business. He's approaching 6 years now for his private practice, and he's from Chicago, but based in Phoenix. But he has virtual clients across the country. And so we meet virtually on Fridays. We set we have a book that we are reading or listening to, and we have to talk about our key takeaways from the assigned chapters for the kind of like our own one-on-one book club. But we keep each other accountable, and so we report out. So every week we set, before we end our conversation, we set our intentions and our goals for our business.
Okay.
Sometimes about ourselves too, like, you know what, I haven't really been taking care of myself. I need to go for a walk. I need to rest. I really need to my finances. I really need to, whatever it is for myself that I need to do, right? So
Yeah.
we will set some personal goals as well, but it's really like we keep each other accountable, because we had our goals at the very beginning of 2025.
Okay.
And so we meet every week. And
Consistently.
yeah, and so what are you working on this week? What are you, so that's our calls, and so we're approaching 2026, and it's time for him and I to start planning for our own individual businesses. So we're both owner operators. So we're both to the IRS sole proprietors, even though we have LLCs, but we're to the IRS. We're taxed as sole proprietors. And so we want to set our goals for 2026. And he says, you know what? What do you think about inviting others to the space? What do you think about getting a room full of peers, other entrepreneurs? And we kind of like reset, we step back, reflect, and, we're always on the grind working on our businesses, but let's plan for our business too. Right. And so that's how that came about. And I was like, hey, I think we should do something I think we definitely should. Let's put together a workshop. And he's like, okay, why don't we do it in Las Vegas? I was like, okay, gang, we can do it in Las Vegas. Pick a date. We need to hurry up. So we literally planned this. I was actually on personal leave, traveling in Mexico with family for about 3.5 weeks, and I really couldn't concentrate. We literally, and that was in October when I was in Mexico. Yeah. So we just planned this. It was very, very short, like a short time frame. So just shout out to us we have our website, entrepreneurreset.net. We've been promoting, we've been sending emails, we've been engaging folks, the chambers of commerce, just in any and everyone. So just shout out to us for putting that together, and shout out to everyone who's interested and who's bought tickets and who's going to be there to show up. And so what can you expect at the Entrepreneur Reset? So the first part of the day, so we will have so we start at 9 a.m. We'll have a check-in and a light continental breakfast, and then we'll get started at 9:30. And so we have like an AM portion and PM. So for the AM, the morning, the first part of the day, we're focusing more on that personal growth, that self-reflection, things that we face as entrepreneurs as it relates to fears, self-doubt. We have a values clarification activity. We focus on that there's this framework in public health called the 8 dimensions of wellness. And what the 8 dimensions of wellness says is like, hey, you have all of these different areas in your life. You have physical wellness, emotional wellness, you have occupational, intellectual wellness, environmental, financial, you have your relationships, you have all these different areas, right? And so we have an assessment. So we're going to do a self-assessment, and we'll have discussion about it because it's discussion-based as well. Yeah. And just where are we at now? Some of us are doing really well in some of those in a certain area, and then other areas, sometimes we have areas for improvement or need for improvement, right? And so we're going to do some goal setting around that. But then also, like, how are we showing up? Well, actually, how is our business and our entrepreneurial endeavors, how is that showing up in finance, in family, in mental, in physical, right? How is that impacting all those different areas? But then also, how is our business and our entrepreneurial endeavors showing up in those spaces? How is that impacting our relationships, whether it's positive or negative? How is it impacting our financial, emotional, mental health, right? Yeah. And so that's what we're focusing on the first part of the day. Again, my accountability partner, co-facilitator, Walter, he is a licensed practicing counselor, and he's he's a life coach as well. He has a practice. So you're getting you're getting that. So from the both of us, from the AM. Then we'll have lunch together. So the continental breakfast and lunch is included in the ticket prices. You have two options. You have an AM or PM, but for the most part, I might be a little flexible. We'll see. We'll see. But so we'll have we have an AM and PM. And so for the PM session,
Either way, you're gonna get something to eat.
yeah, you're right. Either way, you're going to eat, right? Yeah. So for the PM session, that's when we're focusing on the business growth, and so that's when we're you're actually, by the end of the day, you're walking away with more clarity in your business. You're actually walking away with the actual business plan for 2026. So we're doing goal setting, we're doing objectives, we're looking at our what's been going well, where are our gaps, opportunities for improvement, strengths, what can we realistically achieve in the next 30, 60, 90 days. But then we're having community building. And so we're also with the other business owners in the room. And for the most part, we're all going to be local, folks from living, either natives or living in Las Vegas. And it's like, you'll be in the hot seat as well. We'll talk about marketing and branding and different strategies. Yeah. And so, but you're walking away with the actual tangible plan for 2026. But then how can we collaborate? Are there any collaboration opportunities as well? Right.
Okay. I love community.
Right. So remember, I talked about the book we just finished, Who Not How. So but we're talking about who as well, because sometimes we're the janitor, we're the accountant, we're the salesperson, we're the administrative assistant, we're the technician, we're all these different things in our businesses, right? So we have to identify those who's as well. And some of our who's could be in the room and some of our partners could be in the room, but then also who can you serve as a who too, right? Yeah, so we're identifying those collaboration opportunities, so that community building. But for the folks who are choosing to stay for the entire day, who are paying for that ticket, we actually will continue. It doesn't stop at the end of the day. We're going to have monthly group accountability calls, and then we'll meet again in 6 months in person, and we'll have a 6-month meetup. And then the plan is at the end of 2026. We'll have an in-person retreat again together.
Wow. I think that's lovely. I think that's wow. And considering, because I looked at the price and I know there's a lot of promotions going on today. I know that there's a promotion in there for In Your Ear. If you guys are interested, In Your Ear 20, you can get you a little, save some change. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, this weekend only. So we have a flash sale. So if you don't get it this weekend, use In Your Ear 20 for your 20% off. But as of right now at entrepreneurreset.net, for this weekend only, tickets are 50% off.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's dope.
Yeah. So, and it's limited space. It's not going to be a lot of us in the room. Yes. The location is the Courtyard Marriott on Dean Martin, near the Allegiant Stadium. So we have a nice professional venue with staff to serve us, and so we can really focus on what it is that we're doing. And so it's definitely worth the investment, and you'll definitely get your return on investment. And I do understand that, even just the topics that you opened up in with your show, I do understand that there are various social, economic, political dynamics happening. But come on, if we're in business, it doesn't stop. Right. It doesn't stop. We got to keep going, right? We got to quiet down that noise, and then that's why you, if nothing else, that's why you really need to strategize. There's a survey out. I can't remember if it was Capital One that did the survey or not, but it's like 65% of businesses don't have a growth plan.
They don't have what is it?
A growth plan. A plan for growth. Yeah, a lot of us are just kind of like just going with the flow, being reactive. We talked about that earlier, kind of like being reactive. Or sometimes we have the plans and we know what we want to do, but there's not that accountability piece. So we're offering that accountability piece. Or you have the ideas in your head, but you need somebody to, you want to kind of like flush it out, right? Yeah. But again, it's not just the business growth and the business planning that we're focusing on. We're also focusing on the entrepreneur and feeding ourselves and our self-care and our personal growth as well. So that's what we're doing next Sunday, November 16th, Las Vegas, a full day Entrepreneur Reset. The website is entrepreneurreset.net. I did put the website in the chat. in YouTube. But like I said, this weekend we have a flash sale and it's 50% off.
Yeah. So if you can't remember entrepreneurreset.net, just remember ShawntaJackson.com. There is a link that'll get you there. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, self-sufficiency starves the system. So even in our entrepreneur endeavors, if we can be self-sufficient and stay on mission with our goals, doing for self, then we don't need them, right?
Yes, so I would say that entrepreneurship is a form of resistance. Independence is a form of resistance. And then there's so many and there's so many different topics that when we meet monthly, we can just kind of like evolve and grow. There may be like, so for example, there's something that I want to encourage and bring to the attention of entrepreneurs, the co-ops. So there's like about 7, to my understanding, there's about 7 co-op models. And so, for example, let's say you are you do have your chambers of commerce as well. But I do know in Las Vegas, there's a lot of different chambers. And so you find the one that's best fit for you and see what benefits they have. But
is that one of the things that you introduce people to? Because I think that's another thing people don't understand.
We will talk about that. We'll talk about the resources and different things like that. And so, but again, that's what we have our accountability, and we keep going, and we like, oh, you said, so what do you need to do in your business? What do I need to do in order to grow my business? And as it relates to networking or even procurement or getting new contracts, right? Like, how am I going to grow? What circles, what certifications does my business need or should have? Where should I be registering as a vendor, and what my goals are going to be, and then who's going to help me to do that, who I have in my circle now, what are some, writing down a list of things that I'm willing to delegate. Because sometimes so back to kind of like the hesitation, like I said, I understand that things are happening now, but scared money don't make money, right? But at the same time, you can't have you can't grow and thrive in life with having a scarcity mindset. And sometimes as entrepreneurs, and we'll talk about this at the Entrepreneur Reset as well, sometimes that scarcity mindset can get in the way of our growth. So for example, some people think that, they don't want to share ideas or methodologies, or they don't want to collaborate because they don't want someone stealing their things, because they're thinking like competition. They're thinking competition over like collaboration or partnership, right? So we do address that as well, and that's really Walter's strength, and because that's where his expertise comes into helping people to kind of see themselves in a different light as well.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, like delegating. And it's not so much, some people may struggle with, you don't want people to know your recipe because they're going to run with it. And that happens. But I think for most people, and I'm speaking for myself specifically, is not just knowing who to reach out to, just as simple as having a platform, having a podcast. Like, I have recommendations. Go get an intern to help you build your website or build your social media and things like that. Like just simple things that may come to you easily or to other people easily. Those are things that I don't think about. I'm just like, okay, I got to do this. And I'm just doing it based on what I think I know, and having a resource such as this one where, you have experiences, you have access, you have resources, and you can say, well, this is what you can do to build. And I think that's, invaluable. I just, invaluable to have that information.
Yeah, and usually, so I'm bringing in my expertise. So my clients, from my firm, Cause Engagement Associates, it's more so business to business, and I work with organizations. So I'm usually working with boards or leadership teams, and not necessarily just like one individual directly. And so just that strategy, how to set it up to where you can even allow that who to come in, and how to grow your organization. And if these are your organizational goals, this is the next step that you need to do. We need to, whether it be create job descriptions, do some fundraising, whether it be getting a loan. Some of us we want to grow our businesses, and some of us say, you know what, I actually want to kind of phase out. Or I want to grow my business, but my growth for me looks like this, because I'm looking, because again, we're talking about our values. We're talking
Right.
about family. So like for me, um, I like freedom and independence. My business is set up to where I can travel and I can live anywhere in the world as long as I have access to Wi-Fi and I have my
Yeah.
laptop,
Yeah.
and my cell phone. And
I
I
love
can, I could literally work from anywhere in the world. And it was set up intentionally. It was set up intentionally like that from the very beginning, but that's based off of my personal values. But some people may say, you know what, I want to scale and my goal is to open up multiple locations, or my goal is to actually sell my business. So
hmm
I want to grow my business to sell it. So there may be some things that you need to do to prepare your business to sell it, right? Or I want to branch off, or whatever it is that you want to do. So that's what we'll discuss at the Entrepreneur Reset. And we work, and it's your individual plan. That doesn't mean you have to share out everything that you want. You share to your disclosure, but a lot of us, you'll find that we have a lot of commonalities.
And again, this price includes 6 months of accountability. So you're not having to pay, extra for the 6 months, right? You're still
Right.
going to
Unless
be,
you want something one-on-one. And so those accountability, those are group calls. So we'll do monthly group check-ins. And like I said, in 6 months, we'll meet in person as well. We'll do a 6-month meetup in
yeah,
Las Vegas.
so dope. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I just like the whole idea is that you're coming into the community as a Black woman and a Black man, touching on mental health, because that's one of the things that clouds our progress, and once you can, I kind of spoke to that in the beginning when I talked about just basically clearing your mind or acknowledging when you're going through, you're not yourself. You're hitting a peak, you're hitting a high or a low. Being able to identify that, because that's going to help you navigate through life. So just the fact that you guys are also including that, you're not ignoring it, you're not shutting the door on it. It's just not business is business business. It's about your mental wellness as well, because that makes a difference when we're talking about, making plans and building on our businesses, and even in our personal life. Our mind's got to be right. Your mind got to be right.
Yeah, and how do you keep going? Because you have a lot of roller coasters, a lot of ups and downs, especially my entrepreneurs that you check in the chat if you know what I'm talking about, if you can relate. It's a
Yeah.
lot of ups and downs. And so that mental fortitude, that mental strength is very important. Like I said, that resilience, your ability, you go through something, but you can bounce back and you get up. Yeah, you might have a time to where you do check out.
Yeah.
But it can't be a permanent checkout, right? You got to
Yeah.
get back up. You got to, okay. And figure and kind of, figure things out, right? But some of the mistakes or patterns that we have, or some of our relationships with money, or our experience, or like what's behind us not trusting anyone, what's behind us not growing, what are our limiting beliefs and why do they exist? You can process some of those things. And that's where working on the one-on-one, beyond, because we can't do everything in this one day, right? But beyond, if some folks wanted that one-on-one support, that's available as well.
Yeah. And part of the ways that I reset is just being given some type of hope, like being said, well, there's hope. If you do this way, then it'll get there. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's possible. And that helps me reset. So just in this conversation, I feel a little reset. You know what I mean? Because I feel like there's an opportunity to be around people that can help me get to that point. And sometimes that's what we need, because sometimes our backs are up against a wall. We have the idea, we have the goals, we have the business, we're smart, we're intelligent, we have the drive, but we just, like you said, so many things are going on in our life, in our world, that we just need someone to come in and say it's okay, and this is what you need. Just do it this way. And I work well with others, so that I need that sometimes for people to come in and say, no, there's another way, and you can do this, and So just in this conversation, I'm feeling hopeful, which helps me to reset. To come out of whatever funk I'm in or discouragement I'm in. So I appreciate just even this conversation in this moment.
Yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. If anyone has any questions in the chat, feel free. If you're watching the recording, I'm Shawnta Jackson, and you can learn more about the Entrepreneur Reset, a one-day experience in Las Vegas, on Sunday, November 16th at entrepreneurreset.net. Or you can also visit my website, shawntajackson.com, and there's a link there.
That's dope. Yes, you guys can follow her on Shawnta Jackson, the Shawnta Jackson on YouTube. Instagram is the Shawnta Jackson, and LinkedIn is Shawnta Jackson MPH.
Yes, yes. Research me, Google me.
Also, with Walter, is he a therapist? Did you say that he was a licensed therapist?
Yes, license. He's a licensed practicing counselor. He has a private practice, Think and Grow LLC, and so his practice. He's been in business for 6 years now.
So I just want to encourage people too, because I know, especially by him being a black man, for those who may be listening, if you are a black man or anyone who just looking for someone, a counselor, this might be, it might be a good fit. You never know until you reach out. So I just want to plug him, because we need more black counselors out there as well. So,
Yeah, so he's a licensed. He's a therapist. He's a psychotherapist. He focused and also a life coach as well. And one of his areas of specialty is he works in the he does individual therapy and then also group therapy, but he also focuses on domestic violence as well. So
oh,
if any men need support in that space, he supports in that space as well.
I need to reach out to him. I have had people that have asked me to do a segment on domestic violence. So yeah, and I'd love to get a male perspective because a lot of times we speak with professionals that are women speaking on domestic violence. So that would be really nice to have a perspective for a man. A man. You reading the chat?
Yes, Mariah.
Me and Mariah go back like babies with pacifiers. Okay, let me get her comment in here. She says she is tuned in and she's putting her. You better put that red lipstick on. You know how we do.
And I'm a snob, and so I'm like a little bougie, and so look, it doesn't come off.
Oh, you got that? Oh, wait a minute. So you're gonna tell me
I can go to sleep, yeah. So I wake up like this.
Well, listen, I do my because I'll fall asleep. I'm not one of them people that has to take my lipstick off at night.
No, that was a side note. That was to one of my boyfriends or something.
Well, let me stay out of your business.
One of them. I'm joking. So if anyone knows,
yeah.
So if anyone, just so you know, I like to joke a lot. But in my book, The Resilience of a Woman, stories of faith, of love, and perseverance, I do have a chapter in there to my boyfriends, my
yes, you do.
And so I do talk a lot about, and so back to the books, like about just dating and my experiences and different things like that. So it's a joke that I have when I talk about boyfriends.
Yeah, she says my boyfriend, their boyfriend, because you're a single woman and you live in a dating life, and so these are males that are friends, and then we say boyfriends, girlfriends, so
But just so y'all know, I don't have no friend, and I'm accepting blind dates as well. So if anybody wanna, yeah.
Clarify. Yeah, you heard her. She clarified. Several. I mean, the single life. Maybe we gotta come back and do that. I know we talked about doing a little something together. Just talking about other things other than what my niche is, which I fell into politics.
Oh, we should do it, and we were going to call it the red lipstick. What were we going to call it?
Yes, exactly. We did during the pandemic. Remember?
Yeah, y'all. So Latoya and I, sorry, we were thinking of having a show, and I think, or it was called red lipstick.
It was red lips. It was something red lips.
Yeah, so maybe we should do that.
We didn't do it though. I wonder what stopped us. But I think it'll be good because and then we have different perspectives because like you being single and me not being single, we have different outlooks and perspectives on life. And I learn a lot. I live vicariously through you single people, and I feel sorry for y'all. I feel sorry for what y'all go through out here because these men, I don't know, they do.
You know what? There's a lot of good guys out here, and there's a lot of good women, and I guess you just have to know what you want. But I like being single, and you know what? I was thinking about that today. I think for where I am at now, in order for me to be here and where I just need the growth and like the evolution of me as the individual, as the woman, as the mother, as the entrepreneur, it probably was best for me to be single. Or I probably wouldn't have achieved certain things or have the freedom to move about, to try, different things.
That's true.
And so when it's my time, it'll come.
Yeah, I agree. I think everything happens for a reason, and even the bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Even though a lot of them I could have did without them, but I think about it and I reflect. Like if that didn't happen, then would this not have happened? You know, and some of the things that do happen are good things, positive things, and so that's how I keep my head up and stay, focused in a positive way. Just thinking that things have to happen the way they have to happen. You know, you have people that, they envy Oprah Winfrey, but if you go look at Oprah Winfrey's story, like she did a lot to get where she was at. Did a lot to live this lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? She did a lot. And so would I want to go through everything that she went through just to be a billionaire? Like, it's all things worth it. And then sometimes, you know, so don't feel bad wherever you're at in life. That's I wanted to encourage you. We all have our own direction. You can only live your life. You can't live anybody else's, and you don't want to because you don't know what that entails. And so just focus on that and just be encouraged. And I'm saying going to this workshop is going to help you be encouraged and motivated and help you reset and focus on your goals, because a lot of us out here are entrepreneurs. I guess I'm one. I don't, consider myself one. I just have a passion for talking about things, social justice and things that matter to me, and wanting to help people in the same way you. I like to, use my platform to encourage people and help people and just keep people informed and aware of what's happening around them, and try to keep it in layman's terms and plain and simple. So, but I don't know. Am I an entrepreneur?
Yes, yes, and then inspiring. So there's definitely an opportunity to grow in your ear radio. I know that you have a vision. It's just setting those goals and putting and taking the action, like the next step, and then finding the people to support you with your visions and to help you to achieve your goals. Like, so you mentioned an intern
Yeah,
earlier, right? But sometimes it just starts out with what is it that I want to achieve, and sometimes it just started with the visioning. What is it? What
yeah.
do I
Gotta
imagine?
write it out.
If I didn't have any barriers, don't worry about the how I'm going to get it done. Just what I want to get done. If I didn't have any barriers, how would I want in your radio to grow? What would I want it to look like? Would I be in the studio? Would it be television? Would I have a production crew? Like ideally, what would it be? Right.
Yeah.
And then you go from there. But I can envision it for you. And then there's also, what do I have? So I'm even asking myself, so with the clients that I'm serving and the way I want to grow, what professional development do I need as a business owner? What
Yeah.
what do I need to learn? Do I have time to go? Am I willing to get another degree? No. Am I open to a certification? Maybe. Can I go to conferences? Yes. I can invest and go a couple of days into a conference, invest in myself that way, and I can learn that way. So you can, but that may be an opportunity for you as well. So what associations do I join? The National Association of Black Journalists, or do I join? Is there like a broadcast association, or even at my state level, right? What are some classes that I maybe can take, or just what do I need to learn, or who do I need to associate with or partner with or hire? um
Yeah.
so yeah, so I definitely I hope to see you in the room at the Entrepreneur Reset on.
One of the things I remember you encouraged me on that kind of put the light on. That's what I said. Like coming into these types of forums, going to a workshop like this and speaking to people to help you build on your goals. I remember you were saying like joining. I forgot what it was, and you can tell me, but just joining some type of journalism or media group to where I can have a press pass. So if I want to get engaged and go to whatever presidential events are happening or local events, I have a press pass. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. And so it's just things like that, little things that you don't think about. And it's so simple to be a part of a group or a member, have a membership to where you have access if you want to have access. Because initially, I always had in my mind to do radio. And in my mind, I said I wanted to do radio because I want to be heard, not seen. And everything changed. Now everything is visual, right? People want to see you. And I'm the same way. I like to see people. When people are talking about people on podcasts, I Google them so I can see a picture of them while they're talking. And so, you have to evolve with the times, right? And so that's been a struggle for me, just trying, like, not wanting to be popular as a person, but having my platform be popular. And it's hard for me to articulate that to people because, that caught, people that want to have their platform popular know that they got to be on social media, bam, 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 and say catchwords and do things that's going to trend, right? And me, I'm just like, I said some trending stuff. Y'all didn't hear, y'all ain't listening.
Right. Or do you have to do that? So yeah, you have your own, like, again, who can you delegate certain things to? Is there like maybe a social media service, or maybe is there like a job description that you can create for a social media intern? Is it like maybe you incorporating in your ear as a business, or maybe it's something as simple as just getting your EIN with the IRS, and so that way you still have that business identity, and then you can approach your UNLV radio broadcast communication program, or you can approach CSN and say, hey, I have this internship opportunity. This is the job description. Please advise, or maybe it's hiring someone to develop that job description for you, right? But it also starts with you. You have to be willing to work with an intern. If that's still like a mentorship opportunity for that student as well. You have to, if you're going to hire a social media manager or a virtual assistant or anyone, you have to like really list, what are you actually willing to delegate, right? Do you have enough work for this person? What does this look like? Is it 10 hours a month that they're working with you? And, something as simple as that is whatever that may look like. You just have to, that's the first step, right? So you have your vision and you have your goals, so you have your goals, and now it's, even if it's, you don't know who that individual is, even if it's intern, marketing, virtual assistant, salesperson, technician, cook, whatever it is, whatever your business is, right? Yeah. You can later identify those people, but just to kind of identify what those roles would be. Yeah. And it takes time to do that. And again, that's why it's baby steps. And this is like, okay, this is what I can realistically, this is my ultimate vision. This is my ultimate goal. But for 2026, this is what I want to achieve by the end of the year. But I'm going to break it down quarterly. And then I'm going to even break that down, like by the end of the month, by the end of January, this is what I want to achieve. I would have taken this first step, right? And then you have those monthly accountability calls that we talked about with that's included in your full day purchase for the Entrepreneur Reset on Sunday, November 16th in Las Vegas.
Listen, I think y'all got it all, covered. You don't want to miss this, especially with the rate. Again, they got a deal going on just this weekend. You can get half off the entire day. That means 2 meals and a brain full of information, and 6 months extended access to very intelligent, smart people that'll help you, move along the way. Let me go ahead and thank everyone for joining us in the chat. I appreciate you guys as always. Y'all know what I like to do for y'all. When I thank y'all, I have to say thank you and get my little my applause going on here for you all. Thank you so much for watching and chatting. Because I love and appreciate y'all. Is there anything else you want to say before you get out of here, Miss Shawnta Jackson?
EntrepreneurReset.com. I'll see you Sunday in Las Vegas, Sunday, November 16th, full day. This weekend only 50% off of ticket prices. Again, thank you everyone for listening, for tuning in. Entrepreneur Reset. I'm sorry, did I say .com? I meant to say .net if I did say it, but it's entrepreneurreset.net. So entrepreneurreset.net, 50% off this weekend. And you can also learn about me at shawntajackson.com. You can also Google me and all that good stuff too. So everyone, be peaceful, be great. Make it a great weekend. And thank you, Latoya, for having me on In Your Ear Radio.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you all again for watching. Those who are watching later, I love and appreciate y'all. Your presence is my presence. It is love and respect. All right. Is that how you do it, Mariah?
Right.
I got a big age. I
can't do it. They know how to. There we go.
Y'all see my heart. Boop, beep, 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 beep. All right, y'all. Much love. Enjoy the conversation. Next Saturday, I'll be here again, I think. All right. I'm out.